Ever feel like when it comes to antidepressants, it's just one big guessing game? Like you try one, and if it doesn't work, you're stuck trying a million others. That might not be any different.
Right.
Well, get ready, because today we are diving into some seriously cool research that uses brainwaves to actually see how different SSRIs are doing their thing, especially individually.
Oh, this is going to be good.
We're talking EEGs.
Yeah.
You know, that whole shower cap with wires thing, measuring your brain vibes and what they can tell us about how these medications are actually working in our brains.
I love this stuff.
And to help us break it all down, I've got our resident brainwave expert right here with me. Hey, everyone. So we're looking at a brand new systematic review, and I mean hot off the presses, from the Journal of Affective Disorders. This one's all about how different SSRIs, SNRIs, even that interesting one, 40-octane, how they impact the brainwave patterns in people with MDD, major depressive disorder.
And you know what I love about this research? It goes way beyond just saying, okay, SSRIs increase serotonin. End of story. Like, yeah, we knew that. But this study actually shows us how these medications are impacting brain activity. And that's where things get really, really interesting, right? We're talking about specific changes, and that's huge.
Okay, I am so ready for specifics. This research really dove into a whole bunch of different medications. What were some of those aha moments for you?
Well, why don't we start with one we hear about all the time, right? Escitalopram.
Okay, so for anyone out there who doesn't speak fluent antidepressant, that's the generic name for Lexapro. So what's the deal with that one? What'd they find out?
So this study actually found that citalopram seems to bump up delta waves, especially when people are sleeping.
Okay, and delta waves, just a little refresher for everybody.
Those are your deep sleep waves. Think like the soundtrack to the deepest, most restorative sleep ever. The kind where like your body's doing all its repair work, you wake up feeling like $1,000,000.
Yeah, like a brand new person.
Exactly.
Okay, so does that explain maybe why some people on citalopram feel like they sleep more deeply?
It could. But, and this is important, the research also found that there's this increase in those middle-of-the-night awakenings.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you might be sleeping more deeply, but are you staying asleep? That's the question.
So not exactly a magic bullet for sleep problems then, huh?
Right.
Okay, interesting. What about, what about sertraline? Zoloft for everyone playing at home. Any surprises there?
Sertraline, yeah, they found some really cool stuff there, especially when it comes to like cognitive function, you know, how well you're thinking, paying attention, all of that. And they use this really cool technique called ERPs to get a behind-the-scenes look at what's actually happening in the brain.
Okay, break that down for me. ERPs, what are those telling us about sertraline?
Okay, so basically, researchers use these ERPs to see how sertraline is affecting the brain's response to like processing information. And there's this one specific brainwave called the P300 that's super important for attention and working memory.
So like if I'm trying to focus on a task, a strong P300 wave is a good thing.
Yes, exactly, 100%. And here's the really cool part. They found that in people with MDD who were responding well to sertraline, their P300s actually started to look more like the P300s of people without depression. It's like sertraline was helping their brains process information more efficiently.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
So like if you're somebody who's really struggling with focus, concentration, maybe because of depression, sertraline might be a good one to talk to your doctor about.
Yes.
Explore that a little bit more. It's amazing. It seems like each one of these medications has its own little quirks. You know, its own personality when it comes to brainwaves.
Totally.
I'm kind of curious about paroxetine.
Yeah.
It's Paxil.
It is, yeah. And this study found that it seemed to increase delta waves during sleep. Kind of similar to escitalopram, actually.
Oh, really? So maybe another one for people who are looking for a deeper sleep.
It's possible, but you knew there was going to be a but, right?
Always a bud.
Paroxetine also seemed to lead to more of those nighttime awakenings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same thing, deeper sleep, maybe, but potentially at the cost of staying asleep.
So maybe if you're someone who already struggles with those middle-of-the-night awakenings, you know, this research suggests that paroxetine might not be your best friend.
Definitely something to talk to your doctor about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've got escitalopram, we've got paroxetine, both potentially, like, good for deep sleep, maybe not so great for staying asleep. What about fluoxetine? Anything surprising there? And that's Prozac for everyone out there.
Fluoxetine was interesting. They found some cool things with alpha brain waves.
Alpha waves. Now, those are the ones that we see when someone's feeling nice and relaxed, maybe doing a little meditation.
Exactly. Calm but alert. And what was interesting is this review suggests that fluoxetine might actually increase this alpha wave activity, especially for people who are responding well to the medication.
Oh, that's fascinating. Because sometimes you hear people say when they first start SSRIs, they feel kind of more anxious.
Right, right.
So this whole fluoxetine and alpha wave thing, maybe that explains why some people actually find it helpful for anxiety, even though it seems a little counterintuitive at first.
Yeah, it's like, in addition to helping your mood, it might be promoting this sense of calm, at least on a brainwave level.
This is blowing my mind. We went from SSRIs are for depression to this whole world of brainwave activity.
Right.
It's like suddenly seeing the Matrix. And speaking of mind-blowing, we can't forget about vortioxetine.
Oh, yeah. That one's a fascinating one.
It's like the mysterious new kid in school. What's up with vortioxetine?
So vortioxetine is really interesting because it works on a much wider range of serotonin receptors than those typical SSRIs. And in this research, they found that it seems to boost beta waves, especially in those frontal areas of the brain.
Okay, so beta waves, remind me, what are those all about?
Beta waves, those are your focus, alertness, your get up and go mental energy waves. Like if you got to power through your to-do list, you need those beta waves.
So it kind of lines up with what some people say about vortioxetine, that it's good for concentration, motivation, like it gives your brain a little nudge.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so to recap, we've got acetylpram, we've got paroxetine, potentially good for deep sleep, maybe not so much for staying asleep. We've got sertraline, which might help normalize those brain responses that are related to attention, focus. We've got fluoxetine, potentially increasing those calming alpha waves. And then we've got vortioxetine, giving a nice little boost to those get stuff done beta waves. Did I get it all?
Yeah, that was a pretty awesome recap. You basically covered it all. It's wild though, right? Like each one of these medications has its own little personality when it comes to how it's actually affecting those brain waves. Totally. And that's actually what makes this research so groundbreaking, right? We're not just talking about, does a medication work? We're talking about, how does it work in your brain?
Okay, but let's be real for a second. As cool as all this is, it's not like we can just finish listening to this and be like, right, I need more beta vortioxetine it is.
Definitely not. Not that simple.
So, what's the takeaway here?
Think of these EEG signatures as clues, not like a diagnosis, right? They add to the conversation that you're already having with your doctor.
So instead of just going to your doctor and saying, I don't know, I just feel kind of blah, you could be like, hey, I'm really dragging, no motivation, can't focus. You be really specific about what's going on.
Exactly, exactly. And that can help you and your doctor make a much more informed decision together.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for your brain.
I love that. That's a great analogy. And, even though we're not at the point where we're like, okay, let's look at your brain waves, here's your personalized prescription, this research is a huge step in that direction.
Which is super exciting. But I also know, like with any exciting new research, there are always limitations.
For sure. For sure. And they even say that in the study, like small sample sizes, variations in how EEGs are done, there's still a lot to figure out. So as much as we love to geek out about this stuff, it's not the be all and end all.
It's a piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. But it's a piece that has so much potential, Imagine being able to use EEGs to actually predict which medication would work best for somebody before they even try it.
Wow. No more months of trial and error. Just targeted treatment right off the bat.
That's what I'm talking about. And this research is what's moving us closer to that.
Before we wrap up, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. In this review, they mentioned this possible link between some EEG changes and suicidal ideation. Is there anything to that, or is that just way too early to tell?
It's definitely early, but it's something researchers are looking at. I mean, imagine if EEGs could actually help us identify people who might be at higher risk. That could be life-saving.
Absolutely. It just reminds you that the brain is so incredibly complex, but with these tools like EEGs, we're starting to unlock some of those secrets and actually use that knowledge to really help people.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that was an awesome deep dive. We started with brain waves, antidepressants, and now we're talking about personalized medicine and potentially life-saving interventions.
That's what I love about these conversations. You never know where they're going to go, but it always comes back to the importance of research.
Yeah.
And just staying curious.
Couldn't agree more. So if you're anything like us, you're probably feeling fascinated and your mind is a little bit blown.
Mine too.
Keep those brain waves buzzing, keep asking those questions, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.